Glamour and Shadows: The Secret Life of Migrant Influencers in NYC. You ever meet someone so magnetic, so flawless, that you feel drawn to them, but deep down, something just doesn't feel right? Well, this is the story of two young women who lit up the streets of New York City until the truth started leaking through the cracks. Their names: Amara and Lisa, best friends from the Caribbean. Brought up in a small village in Trinidad where stories of old magic and jumbies weren't just bedtime tales, they were warnings. Mara and Leela migrated to New York in their early 20s. Amara came on a student visa, Leela on a work program. They hustled, saved, and soon found themselves living in a tiny apartment in Brooklyn. They were beautiful, ambitious, and knew how to work a room. Within months, they started an Instagram page, Island Queens NYC. They posted outfits, skincare routines, Caribbean recipes, but there was always something extra about their glow. Like they didn't just wear beauty, they radiated it. Followers poured in, so did brand deals, invitations to exclusive clubs, and whispers about how they never seemed to age or fail. Behind the filters and followers, though, things were different. They never left the house before sunrise. Every Friday night, they would disappear, telling people they were at some private Afro Caribbean meditation circle. But truth, they were deep in Prospect Park, barefoot, chanting in a language nobody taught them in school, lighting candles in shapes that could trap your soul if you stared too long. You see, back in their village, their grandmothers had been Obia women, quietly powerful, feared, and they had passed the secrets down before the girls migrated. At first, it was innocent: a candle for money, a charm for beauty, a little oil for protection. But then things changed. Leela started seeing a man. No one knew who he was. He didn't show up in photos, didn't speak, just stood behind her in a black coat at parties. People assumed he was security or a manager, but he wasn't. He was Dante, not a man, a being from the spirit world. Leela had summoned him during a full moon ritual, promised him favors for fame. In return, Dante made her unforgettable. Her voice, her smile, her aura, it pulled people like a magnet. Even big celebrities were DMing her. She went viral overnight. But Dante wasn't free. The more famous they got, the more payment the spirits required. First, it was small things: a drop of blood in their tea, sleeping on dirt under their mattress, then a pigeon, a stray cat, a bat in a jar. At first, the spirits only asked for simple things. Leela would pour honey into her shoes before events to sweeten her steps. Amara wore a thin black string around her ankle, tied in silence, to keep envy away. Every Friday, they'd leave rum and raw meat under the bed for the ancestors. They thought they were in control, but power is a hungry thing, and spirits, they never forget a favor. It started small. One night, Dante told Leela in a dream, "Offer a drop of blood before your next post goes live." She laughed it off, but when she ignored it, her Instagram engagement crashed. She lost nearly 5,000 followers overnight. One brand ghosted her without explanation. The next day, she sliced her palm with a rose thorn, then the blood dripped onto her phone, and uploaded a simple picture of her lips. It went viral. 100K likes in 2 hours. The comments? Obsessive, worshipful. That's when she knew they were watching and they were real. The offerings got darker. At midnight, they'd chase stray cats through back alleys and leave them trembling inside salt circles. Leela once caught a pigeon on the subway platform with her bare hands, whispering into its feathers before snapping its neck. She didn't flinch. Amara began pulling away. She still wanted fame, but not like this. One night, while washing the dishes, Amara found a small sealed jar hidden behind their fridge. Inside was a bat's wing, a fingernail, and a tiny scroll that read, "Beauty is pain, life for life." She confronted Leela. "Are you mad?" Amara whispered, trembling. "This is death work, Leela. This isn't just incense and candlelight. You're feeding them." Leela didn't blink. "I'm protecting what we built," she said calmly. "You want to be invisible again? Go ahead. But me? I've tasted real power. They don't want much, just what we owe." But what they owed changed fast. Then came that night, the one that changed everything. Amara came home late. Her heels clicked through the hallway of their apartment building, echoing too loud in the silence. The door was slightly ajar. She stepped inside slowly. No light, just flickering candlelight from the living room. And there, on the floor, Leela stood barefoot in a soaked white dress, crimson at the bottom, like a flower dipped in blood. At her feet was a man, face pale, shirt torn open, his eyes wide and frozen. He wasn't breathing. Lily's hands were shaking, but she wasn't crying. Amara screamed. Leela looked up slowly. "He followed me, took pictures at the last ritual. He knew too much." "But you killed him?" Amara gasped. Leela's voice dropped to a whisper. "He saw Dante. He tried to sell the footage. The spirit said he had to be silenced. Or or they'd take someone I love instead. I chose." Amara felt the room spinning. The candles flickered violently, as if reacting to the words. That night, under moonlight, they dragged his body to Prospect Park, past the gate, past the dirt trail, to the weeping willow with the twisted roots. Leela chanted, Amara dug. When they covered the last patch of earth, Leela placed a silver ring from the man's hand onto a branch. "A marker," she said, "in case they ever need to remember." From that night on, things were never the same. Amara barely spoke. She'd wake up with scratches down her back, mirrors cracked without reason. Her reflection sometimes smiled when she didn't. Leela became colder, sharper, her beauty supernatural. But something about her eyes, hollow, like the price of her power had eaten something inside her. Amara wanted out. She stopped attending rituals, blocked Dante's number, burned her altar. Leela called her weak, said the spirits were what gave them power. Amara started losing followers. Her glow faded. Acne came back. Her brand deals dried up. Leela, on the other hand, was everywhere. Magazine covers, red carpets, podcasts, but she didn't sleep. She would scream at night, her eyes wide open. She'd bleed from her nose during interviews. Sometimes her voice would change mid sentence. People whispered she was on drugs, but it wasn't drugs, it was the contract. One night, Amara went live, tear streaked face, shaky voice. She said, "I don't care what happens anymore. We made a deal. We asked for things we didn't understand. If something happens to me, check under the willow tree." That live went viral, and then she disappeared. People searched. Cops combed Prospect Park. They found bones, teeth, jewelry, No sign of Amara. New York City didn't slow down, not even for death. Within days, headlines buzzed about Leela's sudden collapse at a fashion show in Soho. One minute she was strutting down the runway in a fiery red designer gown. The next, she stopped mid-walk, eyes wide, whispering something no one could hear. Then she dropped. Her body hit the ground like stone. The audience thought it was part of the show until blood began seeping from her nose. Her hands twisted unnaturally. Her mouth opened like she wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Only a single word, cracked and rasped, slipped through. He said the debt is due. She died on the spot. The autopsy claimed cardiac arrest, but the whispers said otherwise. People who were there swore they saw a tall man in the corner of the room, black coat, no face, standing completely still as chaos erupted. By the time the paramedics arrived, he was gone, and as news broke, so did the internet. Online sleuths, witches, and wannabe psychics dissected every inch of Leela's page. Reddit threads exploded. TikTok videos analyzing witchcraft symbols in her captions went viral. Her last few posts were oddly cryptic. One simply read, "Power doesn't come without a pulse." Another was a selfie taken outside at night with a shadow behind her that didn't match her posture. It was taller, too still, too real. Then someone zoomed in on one of her Insta stories from 2 weeks before her death. She was in Prospect Park laughing on a picnic blanket, but far in the background, barely visible in the frame, was the willow tree, and next to it, a man shaped blur. Meanwhile, Amara was gone. Amara was never seen again. One photo was of Leela as a child clutching a handmade doll, her eyes scratched out. But the story didn't end there. A small group of self-proclaimed digital witches created a YouTube docuseries titled "The Island Queen's Curse". It chronicles everything from the Caribbean folklore to the rise of the Instagram page to the secrets hidden in plain sight. Viewers noticed something strange. Anytime the video mentioned Dante's name 3 times in a row, the screen glitched. "I keep hearing footsteps in my apartment at night. I live alone. I should have left that story alone." She hasn't posted since. And then came the account glitch. One night, Island Queens NYC reactivated. The page had been dormant, frozen for months, but suddenly a new story appeared. It was just a photo of the willow tree. No caption, just fog, and a blurry outstretched hand in the corner, reaching towards the camera. Users tried to report the page. It wouldn't go down. Instagram support claimed they never reactivated the account. To this day, the page still updates randomly, sometimes at 3:03 a.m. Always just one post, a shadow, a candle, or a figure in the mist. Fame, beauty, power. Some say it's all smoke and mirrors, but others know the truth. Some mirrors are doors, and some shadows aren't cast by the sun. So if you ever find yourself under a weeping willow in Prospect Park and the wind whispers your name, don't answer. Not unless you're ready to pay the price.